Okay, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all praise on the Lord to the one and only Yahweh, Bashim Ashai, Bashim Kodash, and the honors to the elders of Great Millstone, sing honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, like my brothers as well, preaching, teaching the same word, and with the truth, and sincerity as always. Excuse me there. Without further ado, I just want to get into this lesson. Going into the economic collapse. I said I was gonna go into this in the last video. Oh well, I'm just gonna get into it on this one. That was on me, but come because scriptures prophesy about a this week I went into the lesson on the third war. And the other video was going into Micah 7 and 9 about the woman. She that is mine enemy shall see it. It's Micah 7 and 9. It's like Micah 7 and 10. So I'm gonna start off with this. Revelation 6 is good. That's the main one. I also always like to get Second Ezra here 6, verse 21 or 22. Then and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound. The trumpet there is going to be the plagues, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. (24) At the time shall friends fight one another like enemies, and the earth shall be stand in fear with those that dwell therein. And the springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Excuse me. Stuff in my throat. But come. So yeah, man, there right there is going into, or then shall friends fight one another like enemies. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and that's going into literal waters as well. And in 3 hours they shall not run. 3 there just means complete. It's not literal 3 hours. That can mean any other amount of time the Lord decides. Because 1 hour to the Lord, that's only 50 years. If you do the math, 1,000 years to us is 1 day to the Lord. You multiply that, divide that, and use mathematics on that. 50 years is 1 hour to the Lord. But in this case, that can be at any amount of time. So there's going to be, it says suddenly shall some places appear unsown, the full storehouses empty. That's the storehouses. Storehouses is where they put your foods today. That's your, back in the ancient world, that was your grain supply. Today, that's what's going to be your stores today. Your Walmarts and superstores where everyone goes to get their groceries, their food. And so this is what's going to come. This is what's going to happen. Just giving out the warning here. Went into the third war a couple of days ago. I think about 2 days ago. Went into that. That's still brewing up. That's still intensifying. That's still progressing, man, over there. Soon China's gonna invade that island one of these days. Maybe not this year. Maybe not next year. But I personally believe China's gonna have to invade that island, though. They're gonna have to invade that island before the economy really gets fucked up. I believe that China's gonna have to invade that island Now I still think we're gonna see parts of the economy getting fucked up, but I don't think that it's gonna be on that level yet. Lord willing, I don't know. You never know. Because the Lord could speed things up. He could bring the end to make it happen this year, or it could happen so another year or two. Me, I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting the Howard shot to return this year, nor next year. That's just me though, respectfully. But and this is my word of advice to you elect. I would keep that same mindset within you. I don't expect it to happen this year or next year. Keep an open mind though. Keep an open mind though, because it does say to hasten the day, hasten the coming of the Lord, and we never know what time or day it may come. Scriptures also do say endure though. So expect to be here maybe another 2 years, maybe another 3 years, but endure. That's the key point is to endure. Because once again, this famine's gonna come. This plague is gonna come. That's to the point where shit is empty at the store. One day you're gonna go to the store will be empty. It's Revelation 6 and I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny. A penny there is a day's wages. That would be a denarius at that time. This was given to John, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see, thou heard not the oil and the wine. That's the black horse. In a couple days, like a week ago, I saw a black horse behind this. It was like a sticker behind this car. So that thing is coming, man. That thing is approaching. Soon people are gonna be bugging out. This thing is gonna be bugging out these unbelievers. These people of the world. It's definitely gonna rattle their minds. And they're not gonna know what to do. They're gonna rely on their anxiety to get the best of them and their irrational thinking to make the best of their decisions in that time when this happens. Oh yeah, no, and that other day too, that same week I saw a vision of Keisha, and I was seeing fire. Which personally, the fire represented the prophecies being fulfilled, the Lord's word coming to pass, being coming to pass. But in that vision, and end is destruction as well. But in this case, it was a fire I was seeing, but then you could see through the fire. You know, like how they have filters, and you can put a filter but see through that. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm not explaining it right, but basically that's how I saw it. That's the best way I can explain it. And I was seeing Keisha inside the Walgreens near the hood, throwing shit. She threw, and this was many Keishas too, not just one. This is many Keishas in a time when the police ain't really gonna be around like that, and Jake's gonna just be able to go in there and start taking shit, looting shit. So yeah, this was just in one dream, one Walgreens, but this ain't just gonna be in one Walgreens. So you can get an idea. This is gonna be on some type of level where your police ain't gonna be able to do shit about it. where Jake's go in the hoods and throw shit, throwing the shelves and taking shit, man. So yeah, that's what's gonna happen. And spiritual, because this video Keisha saying she needs to let her anger come out. She has people on her list she wants to go and visit when the purge shit comes to pass. So you already got people in the spirit that are ready when the purge laws come out, and they can participate in their lawless actions in that time and that day, man. Now the government ain't gonna come out like in the movie and say, yeah, you have 24 hours to do whatever you want. Police won't be able to stop you, but it's gonna be like that. I don't believe Esau is gonna come out and say that like on a TV though, but it is gonna. People are just gonna know, and Esau's just gonna know that their police. They just know. They're just gonna know. Your fucking police can't do shit about it. All right, so you can get an idea. I got a video here. I gotta play this. The world over. This was uploaded on the 28th of March, 2026. And they done made the can smaller. It's in the juice boxes for $1 now. I'm just not realizing they don't have the hot pocket holder in the pack no more. Are you seriously fucking kidding me? 24 rolls of toilet paper, $40 fucking dollars. A watermelon is $11. Since fucking when? I can't believe a 12-pack of Sprite and Coke costs $7.92. But how come nobody is talking about $7.29 for a bag of chips? $18. $18. Are you nuts? It is like it's famous the way it is, and then we're increasing the price too. This just can't be the chocolate that we used to sell. $10.92. All it is a plastic bat and a little bitty baby ball. Look at this. Yeah, please. Oh my God. The world over, man. They done made the. All it is a plastic bat and a little bitty baby ball. Look at this. Yeah, please. Oh my God. The world over. Also, as you saw in that clip there, you had a lot of shit people buy, with the fucking price rising all the fucking way high, man. If you could see in here, if you could have heard that, seen that, that's what you were seeing there, right there in that clip there and video there. So anyway, going into this, yeah, man, the shit is rising. The price of things, of everything, is definitely rising. And hence, going back to that vision that I had of Keisha, go and on the spirit and the dream, I just saw one Keisha, and I saw one other Keisha in the background. But there was I could tell it was a whole bunch of Keishas in that store, not just one or two, five, not just five, probably like 15, 20 Keishas in that Walgreens tearing it up when I perceived of it through the spirit. But yeah, the Keisha was grabbing that shelf and throwing that motherfucker down, and the other Keisha in the back was definitely about to go and loot a couple of things. So yeah, man, that's what's gonna come. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen, especially in the hood and in the hoods where Jake is, and where, yeah, you have gas stations or stores, yeah, department stores. That's well, like Warrior Walgreens. That's what's gonna be happening. So this is like an address 13, and yeah, this one. Listen to this one here. Second address 13 and 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. Count. And one realm against another. And so that's what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. One people against another, one place against another, and one realm against another. And this is gonna lead to Edomites wanting to step in and get in some business that's not theirs, and Jake fucking them up, because why you worried about what's going on in the hood? Worry about what the fuck's going on in your suburbs or whatever, bro. So Jake's gonna definitely fuck those Edomites up that want to get in their business, and then yeah, it's gonna lead to the cops getting involved, but you stupid cops is gonna only so many of you, and there's many of Jakes, and there's many of those Jakes are gonna be fucking your ass up. That's what's gonna happen. You cops are not gonna be able to do shit in that time when shit rises up, when the Lord puts the spirit in Esau to shut this bitch down, shut these goods down, these trucks from coming in, shutting their asses down, putting their asses out of work, out of business. And now Jake putting the spirit in Jake to tear shit up, man. Because Jake don't give a fuck. Jake ain't gonna pay for that amount of money for that. Jake in the hoods, the Myers, the stores that's near the hoods, Jake's are gonna run up in there. First is gonna be 2 or 3 groups, then it's gonna be 1 or 2 people, and it's gonna be a whole mob. Jake's coming in there. You're gonna see more Jakes from the hood coming up in there to loot shit, even just to tear shit up. Some Jakes just is gonna want to be in there like Keisha I saw in my vision to tear shit up. Other Jakes that are gonna be in there, other Keishas are gonna be in there to take shit and loot shit. So that's what's gonna happen. And then on top of that, it's gonna be a purge as well. They're gonna be like, oh well, I can go in here and take this shit and fuck shit up over here. I might as well start robbing people just in the open, in the blue, like that. It's gonna be like what happened in 2020. I remember because I was downtown when this stuff happened, and those 2020 riots. Basically, in every state, you had people, because of the George Floyd thing. You had in every state people coming out in large groups, and they burned shit. They ended up burning even police car vehicles. Police couldn't do anything. You weren't able to do anything. I mean, they still ended up shutting shit down. They still ended up shutting that shit down, but I mean, you even had them burning police cars, the police vehicles, and other people's cars, and breaking windows and stuff, man. So what's gonna happen when it's about food, when it's more personal with their own life about food, not just because of some black man that the police reasonably killed. So yeah. 31 second Edges 13:31, and one shall undertake the fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, and one people against another. Or one people against another and one realm against another. So as you saw in that video, that people was showing the prices of these things in Walmart, and they was like, what the hell? How is this $12? How is 12-pack can of soda $12? How is that rib? I think that was rib meat. How was that rib meat $69? The bag of chips was $12. See, that one girl showed. Yeah, because it's just like there's 15 and verse 15. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and when people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand. It's 19, 15 and 19. Second Ezra 15, verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Yeah, there's gonna be Jake's YNs, especially your YNs. You already have shown. A couple days ago, I saw a fucking video of some YNs fucking it was in Los Angeles, primarily in Los Angeles, I think, but it was happening in other various states in the country of America. You were having gatherings of teenagers rushing in the stores and the malls and just raising hell, basically causing havoc, mayhem, taking shit, or just gathering in the streets, just standing on top of buses and just, I don't know, watching a car doing donuts. Basically, where they go in a circle in the wide space of a street in the car. So yeah, man, that's especially those YNs, and if they're doing that now while shit's running, and you got the law enforcement out here. How much more, when the time comes, man? When the time comes of their bellies being growling, and then the groups of people not coming together, saying that they can't stop us. We're gonna take shit and destroy shit, fuck shit up. The police, there's only so many of them. What are they gonna be able to do? Right? There's only so many of them. What are they gonna be able to do? What are they gonna be able to do? Exactly. They're gonna agree upon that and go and get together and fuck shit up. That's what they're gonna do. Because their jobs are gonna be useless now. They're not gonna be able to pay them. What they pay them is gonna be how much is gonna a bag of bread is gonna cost. A bag of bread is gonna cost however much they get paid. They're gonna say fuck that shit, and they're gonna go and loot shit like in that vision I had once again with Keisha in there, throwing down that fucking shelf. Other Jakes, other Keishas in there from the hood, looting, taking stuff, all at the same time. So that was a scripture there. It's a prophet being prophesied. That's a prophecy. Prophecy means it's a message from the Lord, and it's a promise. So it's gonna happen. So I'm not just coming up here saying. Oh yeah, this is gonna happen, and just leaving it at that. Oh yeah, economic collapse is gonna happen, and just leaving it at that. Even though you don't even need Yahweh Shemashah, you don't even need the prophecies to be able to see that and say that. You could have somebody that doesn't even know the prophecies, doesn't know Yahweh, doesn't believe in Yahweh, but can obviously tell and through the spirit and see, oh yeah, economic collapse is definitely gonna happen. You're experts that study history, because you do need to know it. You can learn a lot about economics and financial advice. Get a lot of financial advice just based off of history. And so they can look at history, 250 years, the end of the empire. Babylon, America's in the age of decadence. The decadence. Yeah, it's the end of this kingdom, man. America's past that age of, there's 6 ages to an empire. One of them is the age of pioneers. One of them is the age of conquest. One of them is the age of prosperity. And then the final stage that marks the end of an empire is that age of decadence, when they just have an overabundance, an excessive amount of sex, show an excessive amount of naked women, and just pleasure, and just living in self-indulgence. That marks the age of decadence. America, it's safe to say America's been on that age for a while now. That last stage that marks the empire. The age of decadence. So here's another clip I'm gonna play here. Listen to this bitch speak for a second here.
Major corporations are gaslighting us. Their reasoning behind making the bottle look like this was to make them more aerodynamic. Shrinkflation is very real, and this is not the only company who has done it. Some people call it a stealth price rise. Life cereal went from 24.8 to 22.3. Bounty changed the number of sheets that you get from 165 to 147. Honestly, I could keep going. New size, 300 grams. 250 grams. They put like a cookie-shaped piece of plastic there to give you less. General Mills shrunk family-size boxes from 19.3 ounces to 18.1 ounces. Cocoa Pebbles went from 20.5 to 19.5. 52 fluid ounces used to be 59. These look the same. Do you know why that is? They hollow out a thing so that plastic is coming up on the bottom like that, so that it looks the same, so that you can't tell. I could do this all day. Also this. Bigger size, better value. 18 fluid ounces versus 15. But this is a bigger size, better value. You can see over time. Wow. Major corporations are gaslighting.
So as you saw this woman speaking on, that's what you had there. Going into shrinkflation.
Size, and one of them is medium size. I'll let you choose which you think is which. Apparently, because half an ounce would only be like a half a chip, they're now making mini Doritos. It takes about 3 of these tiny, tiny Doritos to make up one normal sized Dorito. So you get several chips, but that's probably 1 to 3 chips in real life size chips. Seriously, everyone's like, what's the end goal here? We're only gonna have like 1 chip per bag, and there have been bags of chips like that. But this apparently was their game plan, is we'll just make the chips themselves smaller size, so it makes a little more sense, and there's more than 1 chip in each bag. This person went to purchase another set of toys that they had previously purchased in 2022, and this one in 2025 is this size compared to this size. Not only that, the original cost $20 for this set. The new one costs $30. This box of Rice Krispies treats has an empty space. So this person was like, oh, this must be a quality control thing. They shorted me one of my Rice Krispie treats. But then they saw, nope, it says 7. They went down from 8 to 7 Rice Krispie treats and just left an empty space there so they could give less and make more profits. And they've changed it to chocolatey peanut butter, because chocolatey means substituting cocoa butter for palm oil. So that's super yums. This is Burger King.
So, as the woman there was explaining, so I was calling her a bitch, but as the woman there was explaining, man, bro, that's all going into how these elites are conditioning. And when I saw that in the spirit yesterday, the spirit hit me and was like, yeah, that's these elites using that gradualism that they use to start custom you people to have a less and less of something, because really that's ultimately what they're planning to give you, is less and less of your freedom, less and less what's really your right to have as a human being. But it's because in their eyes, basically, they believe human. Oh, they even said that. That's even from the horse's mouth. One of their elites, forgot which one, said in the UN meetings, water is not a human right. They said water is not a human right. So study them elites, man. Look into them elites, man. Look into that New World Order, conspiracy theories that are facts and truthful. They call it, the reason they call it that is because the conspiracy theories is because so that we can look like what we're saying ain't even correct and true. And so they got CNN, Fox News to push the other the lies they want to be pushed upon you people to may help you believe that. You're gonna believe that but not believe the other half, basically. And it works. It works. I used to be one of those. I used to think that everybody knew Satan was bad, and your presidents knew that, and that it was all just one big happy family. But that's a lie. That's a lie. They also like to push, this world also likes to push upon you that racism doesn't exist. That's another fucking lie. That one really ain't spoken on that much. Another thing they don't teach you is that you should be racist. You gotta be racist. The Lord would essentially be labeled a racist according to the definition. But really, not really. Okay, because you nations are still gonna get a chance of freedom and opportunity more than you giving us after the 1,000-year period. See, if it was up to you, you wouldn't even give us any of those privileges or rights. You don't. Esau ain't even trying to give us the right to eat natural foods that don't kill your testosterone, and laws where your woman doesn't separate from you. In our kingdom, after we're done dealing with you for 1,000 years of a hardcore slavery, we're gonna give you back your lands and certain lands and lots of more privileges and opportunities where you can have. Where your woman where your woman has to obey you, she will not be able to leave you nor commit adultery against you. She will be commanded to love you and be with you for the rest of your life. But Esau, you wicked ass elites, you're not giving us any of that. So far be it from us to even be called racist. How is that even racist? To me, that sounds like fairness. That sounds fair, and that sounds equal. So no, I will not be silent nor quiet. I'm going to continue to speak the words of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. So the second Esdras chapter 15, 6, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Yeah, so that's why our Lord's going to judge this bitch. He's going to judge this place. Hence why I got Isaiah 50. And this is to wherefore when I came was there no man, when I called was there none to answer. Is my hand shortened at all that they cannot redeem? Or have I no power to deliver? Yeah, because that's the spirit of these people. They don't believe Yahweh about Shemashah, so that they automatically don't believe he has the power to save nor redeem. Redeem there means freedom. And this truth equals freedom. So by you all calling us racist or pedos or all this manner of evil things, that doesn't hurt us because we serve a Lord that is able to redeem us, whose hand ain't shortened at all to not free us from whatever obstacles, traps, situations, drama, these demons or devils can try to want to bring to us. Yeah. Behold, at my rebuke I dry up the sea. I make the rivers a wilderness. Their fish stinketh because there is no water, and die for thirst. So that the Lord said right here, He can, at His rebuke, at His word, He can dry up the sea and make the rivers dry, a wilderness. So that's similar to how the Lord is gonna make in that river there, that sea there can represent the kingdom's economy, a kingdom's wealth, prosperity. So that's how the Lord is gonna do it. He's gonna dry it up. At His rebuke, He can do that. That's what I'm saying right here. At my rebuke, I dry up the sea. I make the rivers a wilderness. Their fish stinketh because there is no water, and dieth for thirst. The fish there representing people. Now, if the Lord can do this with a sea, if He can do this with a sea, how big the sea is, how much water is in the sea, how wet a sea is. A sea has a lot of water. The Lord has the power to dry that whole bitch up. So the Lord can do that to a sea. That ain't do nothing to Him. He can definitely do that to a kingdom of a nation that is wicked, that is pissing Him off. He can do that. Yeah, and the Lord ain't gonna do that to no sea, because the sea can't do nothing to the Lord. A sea doesn't disobey the Lord's commands. People do, and so the Lord's gonna do this to people. The Lord deals with people and judges people. Kingdoms. Isaiah 50:3 highlights God's supreme power to command nature, emphasizing His ability to save or judge. Exactly what I mentioned there. The Lord's going to judge. I clothe the heavens with blackness and make sackcloth their covering. Means God can turn the sky dark, symbolizing divine authority, mourning, and a powerful protective response to humanity's disbelief and His power to deliver them. Historical echoes. It recalls the plague of darkness over Egypt. Exodus 10:21-23. Yeah, and some people don't believe that happened. Well, we believe that happened. The actual intelligent people, which are your brothers, the prophets, we believe that happened. You people don't believe that happened. You're not intelligent, man. You're stupid. So your word doesn't matter. That's why the Lord told Ezra, man, let not the incredulity of them trouble. The incredulity means unbelief, a doubt. People who doubt. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So we don't care if you don't believe. We know that happened. The Lord is gonna do this again. He's gonna bring a great judgment upon the grounds of Babylon. Verse Isaiah 50:3. I clothe the heavens with blackness, and I make sackcloth their covering. And the Lord's going to bring this upon Babylon, that blackness, that covering. I make sackcloth their covering. Yep. Meaning the Lord has the power to bring happiness or death. Isaiah 19:8. The people will catch fish in the Nile. The people who catch fish in the Nile River will be very sad. Yes, everyone who throws a hook into the river will cry. The people who throw nets into the river will not catch any fish. The people who make linen cloth will not know what to do. There will be no flax for them to use. They will be very upset. All the people who work to get money will be sad. Because there's not going to be any money to make out here soon. How can you make money in the kingdom where the food ain't there? The food is gone. People need food to survive and live, to strengthen them. Especially in a kingdom that's ran by pleasures and decadence. So the Lord's got controversy with The soils of America, the United States of America here. He's going to get ready to judge this place soon.
And rationing in Bangladesh. With war in the Middle East disrupting. This was about 7 days ago, NBC. The title was Energy Disruptions from Iran War Trigger Sprawling Oil Storages Across Asia. How the world gets its energy. The impact is being felt thousands of miles away. And nowhere is the shock more acute than in Asia. Shortages of oil and gas have triggered protests in India and rationing in Bangladesh. There are long lineups for fuel from Pakistan to Cambodia to Vietnam. Sri Lanka shortened work weeks to save electricity, and Thailand's news anchors ditched their suit jackets to avoid using air conditioning. Energy emergency. In the Philippines, the president declared a national energy emergency to stave off what the International Energy Agency has described as the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. It's made Asia ground zero for an energy crisis that threatens to cripple an entire continent. Take Taiwan. More than 95% of the energy being used here is imported, and most of it is coming from the Persian Gulf. The longer supplies are choked, the greater the risk that some parts of Asia could be running on empty. About 1/5 of the world's oil flows through this. Yeah, this is in India. So how much more will this come to America, man? Once again, people have had dreams of America's economic collapse, economy collapsing. More homeless people walking up and down in the streets because they got kicked out their homes. These are things that's gonna happen. And those people that go out there and decide to take matters upon their own hands, hey man, they're stupid too, because that's, hey, tread carefully, because number one, you should rely on the Lord. You should rely on the Lord, and Lord says not to steal, not to take. So while you're doing that, you're stealing. Lord's that's one of the first commandments is to not steal. Don't steal, man. And also eventually, man, that's gonna turn to you're gonna take more shit, partaking more of that. Those rioters that are gonna be out there, and guess what? Those rioters out there that are gonna be going buck wild, deciding they're macho. The government's gonna send in the National Guard, and they're gonna shoot their asses down, man. And there's gonna be a ton of blood upon the streets on Division Street, on 28th Street, man. Strait of Hormuz, connecting the Gulf to the Indian Ocean. Much of what leaves is bound for Asia, a region that's also highly dependent on liquefied natural gas, or LNG, from Qatar. Since the war started, maritime traffic in the strait has all but collapsed, though Iran now says non-hostile ships can transit safely. In a statement, Iran's mission to the United Nations said ships can use the waterway provided that they neither participate in nor support acts of aggression against Iran, adding that any movement still needs permission from Iranian authorities. Still, maritime tracking data shows traffic through the critical energy choke point remains at a fraction of normal levels. Earlier this week, a Chinese oil tanker, the Bright Gold, was among the few ships to go through a so-called safe corridor. Crew members posting videos of the journey to Chinese social media, telling users they were carrying Iranian crude to the mainland. Another more critical thing is, are there any ships willing to coming in? Because it has to be 2 rounds. Otherwise, you're just like clearing out the backlog, but the flow itself or the trade is still frozen.
Even China, with its significant reserves, is feeling the pinch. It was the first Asian country to ban fuel exports after the war began. There are government controls, yet prices for fuel have been creeping up. The impact is huge, says this rideshare driver. It's hard to make any money. U.S. allies like Japan and South Korea are tapping strategic oil reserves to meet demand, but still urging people to curtail everything from showers to charging phones. The shortages have governments across Asia scrambling to buy energy at whatever the cost, and that is proven to be a boon for gas companies in the U.S. The Trump administration has seized on the anxiety here, last week announcing $57 billion in gas deals with Asian governments, including Taiwan, where the semiconductor industry alone consumes 10% of the island's electricity. Every country across Asia is now on an emergency footing, with supplies dwindling, prices on the rise, and the crisis deepening. Janice Mackey-Freyer, NBC News.
I got a little excerpt I want to show from this video. This is from Redacted. It came out about 8 days ago. On the last month, on the 26th, it says food shortages and fuel chaos are now spreading globally thanks to Iran war. Yeah, I'm gonna click down here on the because they showed this little AI thing. It can summarize the video. So I'm gonna click on that AI little thing there that summarizes the video and read some of this from here. It says there's key discussion points. First, let me get this video from Redacted examines the growing global concerns surrounding food and fuel supply chain disruptions, exacerbated by current geopolitical tensions in Iran. The host and guest A.J. Richards, founder of From the Farm, discussed the fragility of modern food systems and the potential risks of famine. Yeah, he mentions how farmers are really struggling with this thing. And it says here, systemic fragility. The hosts highlight how the current just-in-time food supply chain is highly vulnerable. A.J. Richards explains that corporate consolidation, where only a few companies control the majority of meat processing, creates bottlenecks as seen during the pandemic and subsequent cyber attacks. And this, he also mentioned a good point, the host here of the Redacted, I don't know his name, but he mentioned a good point of how basically the farmers too, this is affecting them, and there's been they've been already doing that, and destroying farms and burning farms and their own store. America's supposedly their own store, but yeah, it is their own store grains, just like Rome had storage, huge food storages that they had. They were caught burning their own supplies of food the farmers had, and large farming companies had, and all that and stuff. Yeah, it's not like how it used to be for these farmers, and they're taking more of their rights to put their own food, especially if it's healthy and organic, in these stores. And that's why it's wise to eat healthy and stay healthy as possible, because that's another thing. They done poison our the food we're supposed to eat. So if these devils have gone as far as doing that, what's far from believing that they're causing these things, man? They're gonna cause this man-made economic collapse. Because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of seeds and there's plenty of resources out here that they don't have to be do all that, because this is a man-made economic collapse that's happening. So This shows you there who is in control. The powers that be, the higher ups that be. The impact of fuel costs, rising fuel prices, and it's going into how basically reducing our food to where you just eat insects. Now, something they're gonna call this something that's more humanitarian sustainability. The impact of fuel costs, rising fuel prices directly threaten the transportation of goods since most grocery stores maintain only a limited supply. Any disruption in trucking caused by fuel shortages could lead to rapid store shelf clearing. Agricultural challenges. Ranchers face significant hurdles, including the loss of public grazing land due to environmental regulations and the ongoing effects of land desertification. The discussion also touches upon concerns regarding geoengineering and atmospheric spraying and their perceived impact on farm productivity and wildlife. Yeah. Those chemtrails that they spray. Hence why you can eat healthy and exercise and be the most healthy, man, and you got fucking allergies. The reason we got allergies is like the elder mentioned, a lack of male trees. A lack of male trees. Esau kills all the male trees, keeps the female trees out here. Also said that they can't produce. So yeah, man. You fucking devil you got a lot to pay for, man. You got a lot to pay for, bro. Why you gotta do all this to the fucking trees and the frogs and the animals? Like they didn't do anything to your stupid ass, man. You're just torturing them, making frogs grow lose their dicks, man. I mean, what the fuck is up with that, bro? You devils are gonna have a lot to fucking pay for, man. And sometimes I don't know why the Lord has this devil, man, and keeps this devil running, man. But hey, man. The discussion also touches upon concerns regarding geoengineering and atmospheric spraying and their perceived impact on farm productivity and wildlife. The solution: localized food systems. AJ Richards advocates for a shift toward direct-to-consumer agriculture as a means of securing food stability. By connecting consumers directly with local ranchers, the system can become more resilient and ensure producers receive a fair share of the retail dollar. Resources. The guest encourages viewers to explore fromthefarm.org. I'm gonna screenshot that. Maybe I'll use that info later. To find and support local food producers aiming to foster a decentralized, more secure food network. I mean, I've been meaning to try to do all that. I just don't got the money to do all that though. You brothers, man, that have money, man, look into that, man. Going directly to your farmers, buying your meat and stuff, milk from there, honey. Going on a parasite cleanse, killing them parasites, using wormwood. God, yeah, man, you devils got a lot to pay for, man, but it's fine, bro. It's fine. How about Shmashai had to raise you wicked Rothschilds up? Yeah, had the wicked. The Lord has raised them up to do their part, do their thing in this movie, in this their part of this chapter here, so we can appreciate the Lord more and everything He gave us the better. Yeah, man. I mean, that's just fucked up, bro. Yo, how you was gonna spray the world and poison and all this, and then the earth and stuff. Nature ain't do nothing to you, man. And nature ain't even do a damn thing to this devil. Well, it kind of did. It made you be born with weak ass skin, that leprosy. And that's why his dad was mad at nature. He's mad at genetics because he can't be an Israelite. The nature genetically fucked him up by the will and command of Yahweh Bashim Shah. Hence why he's destroyed nature. Because he wants to bless. That's how much he hates that we have to bless him. Come on, man. Got this other clip here for you.
Make fertilizer. Welcome to the Global News Podcast.
How the Iran war could raise food prices. Global News Podcast. Let's hear this Edomite here.
On YouTube, I'm Charlotte Gallagher, and today we're joined by our business correspondent, Michelle Fleury. Michelle, it's been a really turbulent time for the global economy after the US-Israel war with Iran started. The head of the International Energy Agency has said the world is facing a worse crisis than the oil shock of the 1970s and the fallout from the Ukraine war combined. I mean, what is going on the financial markets? They're going haywire. I don't think there's really any way other than that to describe it. You've got markets up, down, you've got oil prices again, moving sharply. This volatility is being driven by the fact that people just don't know how long this conflict is going to last and how much economic damage it's going to cause. And at the same time, obviously, you've got the head of the International Energy Agency saying that world leaders are underestimating the impact. And I think, talking to kind of traders here on Wall Street, you're hearing a similar thing, which is that, no company is going to be spared from this. The longer this goes on, because oil is such a crucial input in so many aspects of our lives, that it's going to trickle through to so many things, and the longer it lasts, the more that impact is going to be. In terms of the actual shipping market, obviously we've seen rates and insurance rates and everything go up and down. The cost of shipping fuel.
So yes, she's going into it here. This was uploaded on the 23rd last month. Not that long ago. Almost 2 weeks ago. Is the U.S. I'm gonna read some of the description on down. The U.S.-Israel war with Iran continues to create turbulence for the global economy. The head of the International Energy Agency has said the world is facing a worse crisis than the oil shock of the 1970s and the fallout from the Ukraine war combined. It's not just the problem of fuel supply, it's the uncertainty of what will happen to the cargoes of ships that can't make the journey through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's effective blockade of the strait has led to higher costs for fuel and fertilizer, both crucial elements of food production. About a third of all fertilizer shipped globally goes through the waterway from the Gulf states, and there are now warnings about the impact on global supplies and food prices. Farmers say they will have to pass on the higher costs of growing to consumers, making groceries more expensive. And this is a man-made economic collapse because they have laws on which even and back in Middle Ages, you had kingdoms like in England and other countries that had taxes and prohibited people from farming or having a land, I think. But it's never been on the scale of how America has it here. Where they can actually have the resources, but they ain't giving it. With all the technology now today and quick transportation they have today, they didn't have that back then like that. Planes, boats that go more advanced, can travel faster. Farmers say they will have to pass on the higher cost of growing to consumers, making groceries more expensive. Plus, planting seasons are being missed. The United Nations has warned that an additional 45 million people could face acute hunger if the war lasts through June.
Has also increased, and so it's making it very difficult beyond the.
And that's part of the scriptures. There shall be famines, Matthew 24, in diverse places, earthquakes,
Simple sort of
pestilence.
maritime blockade that is effectively taking place in the Strait of Hormuz. It's just incredibly difficult for companies that run tankers to know where to dock, where is the safe place, let alone what passage. And even if they do attempt to kind of make a voyage, how do they get fuel? Where can they go? So the chaos in logistical terms is deeply challenging, and it's kind of causing a lot of frustration, late nights, lots of headaches for those in the industry.
And we've talked so much about oil and gas, but also food is going to become a problem if this war continues. The United Nations has warned that tens of millions more people could face acute hunger if this war lasts until June.
Yeah, I mean, this has to do with fertilizer and the cost of fertilizer. I think, as you say, so much of the attention on this shipping route has been on energy going through there. But, you know, crucially, the Gulf accounts for about a third of urea, which is kind of nitrogen fertilizer, passes through that shipping route. And so it, too, is suddenly stuck. There is also the fact that in countries like India, for example, they've already are struggling with imports of liquefied natural gas. That is a key component used to make fertilizer. And so they've had to scale back production domestically. So you've got this kind of double whammy going on where you can't import, but also domestically trying to make it is challenging because of what is happening with the energy picture. And it comes at a crucial time because in parts of the world it's planting season. So you can imagine if suddenly your costs have shot up, in some cases as much as 40% for fertilizer, then that kind of has a knock-on effect. Now, speaking to kind of agricultural experts on this, they say it takes roughly about 6 months to a year before that translates into higher prices at the grocery store. But make no mistake, the impact is being felt immediately by farmers who, as I say, are currently kind of planning their next planting season.
And China as well, they do produce a lot of fertilizer, but now they're saying we're not going to export any. We need to keep this in reserves for our own agriculture industry.
Yeah, I mean, so countries like India, places like that, rely heavily on imports from the Gulf. And I think there had been hope amongst officials in those countries. Look, maybe China, which makes a lot of fertilizer, will ride to the rescue. But instead, what they've announced is export control. So that's going to have a knock-on effect. I mentioned India, but another country is Thailand, another one is Brazil. And the reason for that is because they are big consumers of fertilizer from China.
And once again, man, while that's going on, and you people are gonna be, you preppers too, especially, you're still worrying how much food you're gonna have. These elites been prepping too. Each one of the elites made sure they made sure in advance they got enough stockpile of beef meats, protein, or dairy, water, fluids, hydration, minerals before this war begins, before the famine comes and hits this place. Hence why, again, the Revelation 6:6 about the black horse. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. Yeah.
So you're starting to see the kind of domino effect, how it ripples through and becomes a much bigger problem. Thailand, in turn, makes rice. It is a kind of crop that depends heavily on fertilizer. So you could see the knock-on effect feed back to China, where maybe 6 months to a year from now, their imports of rice from Thailand or from countries like Brazil, where they import a lot of soybeans, those crops, if they get affected and they start having to pay higher prices, you start to see how this snowball effect kind of gains speed. And that's why you have these officials warning about the knock-on effect this will have on prices, on food prices down the road.
And Michelle, all this could affect crops like rice. And when we're looking at less developed nations, they really rely on these crops. I mean, what could that mean?
Yeah, and when you are talking about less developed nations, the other thing to remember is that the people kind of, we're not talking giant agricultural firms, we're talking smallholders who really aren't able to bear these higher costs of things like fertilizer. And so that's why you have agencies like the UN World Food Programme warning that, there is a risk of acute hunger for some sort of 45 million people as a result of this conflict, kind of worsening conditions on the ground.
And this could have serious political consequences for President Trump, because people are already feeling it when they're buying fuel for their car at the pumps, but also the consequences it could have for US farmers. And I know that you've been speaking to some of them, haven't you, Michelle?
Yeah, I was speaking to Lance Lillibridge. He's a kind of corn farmer in Iowa. He was also the head of the former head of the Farmers Corn Grower Association there. And he was saying, look, even before this crisis, prices had been shooting up. And he was sort of pointing out that the US only buys about 6% or so of fertilizer from the Gulf region, and yet it's having a massive impact to the point where he was saying in some cases it's no longer economical to plant this. And he was kind of telling me about, there were lots of factors in the US that led to this moment, but this is kind of, if you like, the cherry on top. It's pushing things to breaking point where it becomes unsustainable for many farmers. And that is obviously a huge concern because in his case, corn, that's important not just in itself, but also corn is important in livestock food. So that means that starts trickling up and pushing up the price there. It is also used in cases in industrial uses, for example, in paper. So there are ways in which we can't even begin to imagine how this will impact. And yet they are sounding the alarm right now, saying, look, this is a problem for us. This is, unsustainable.
And I'm just thinking back to the last presidential campaign and President Trump saying that he was going to lower grocery prices in the US. What could it mean if they keep going up for President Trump?
Yeah, this was an election in which Donald Trump in the last election said, I will make your lives better in economic terms. And yet you look at what's happening right now, and it's going to be interesting to see. America is heading to the polls in November for national elections. How is that going to impact that? What are people going to be saying? It all depends, again, on how long this conflict goes on. But the worry...
Next time you fill up your car, it could literally break the bank. Iran just issued a threat that could hit everyone on the earth. Your gas, your groceries, your paycheck, it could send the global economy spiraling, and there is no escape. I'm Josh, and on today's episode of the Infographics Show, we're discussing the fallout as Iran tells the world to get ready for $200 a barrel. If the price of oil hit $200 or even got close, it could trigger one of the most devastating energy crises in modern history. The kind of crisis that shakes economies, disrupts daily life, and ripples across the globe in ways most people can't even imagine. Because oil is, in many ways, the lifeblood of the global economy. When prices experience a sharp, sudden rise, it doesn't just impact the oil industry, it affects everything. Costs of food, transportation, and manufacturing all start to surge in line with the rising rate of oil. This in turn has knock-on effects on things like inflation, interest rates, and the broader economy. And that's why energy markets matter so much. It's why, even though it may feel a million miles away to many, the war in the Middle East could impact us all. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury. Multiple airstrikes were conducted against military sites and cities across Iran, killing the country's supreme leader Ali Khamenei, along with other Iranian officials. Iran responded with missile strikes of its own, directly targeting Israel as well as military and allied positions across the Middle East. There have been casualties on both sides, but Iran has little hope in matching the combined might of the American and Israeli armed forces. And it doesn't have the necessary firepower to counteract the U.S.'s world-leading bombers or Israel's massive missile silos. It does, however, have an invaluable ace up its sleeve. One it hopes could be powerful enough to potentially bring an end to the conflict. It's not a tank, it's not a missile, or a bomb. In fact, it has nothing to do with the military at all. Instead, it's all about geography. The entire situation and the fate of the world as we know it rests on a single stretch of water in the Middle East, the Strait of Hormuz. It's one of the most significant and strategic waterways on the earth. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the UAE all export massive volumes of oil to markets across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. And most of that oil has to pass through the Strait of Hormuz to reach its destination. Nearly a fifth to a quarter of all global gas and oil shipments flow through this narrow passage, making it an indispensable artery of the world energy system. Iran knows that. It understands that its biggest weapon in this war is its close proximity to the Strait of Hormuz, and it intends to leverage it to the maximum effect. That's why just days after the conflict began, Iranian officials issued a stern, stark warning. The country's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, vowed not to allow even a single liter of oil through the waterway. An IRGC spokesman said that any vessels in the area with links to the U.S., Israel, or their allies will be considered a legitimate target, adding, "You will not be able to artificially lower the price of oil. Expect oil at $200 per barrel. The price of oil depends on regional security, and you are the main source of insecurity in the region." Countries often make bold proclamations and chilling threats during wartime. It's designed to intimidate their enemies or pressure them into backing down. But this time, it's not a baseless claim or an empty threat. Iran is quite clearly capable and willing to follow through on its promise. It's already shown that with its actions. The country has already been seen deploying mine-laying vessels into the strait, lining the waterway with dozens of deadly explosives. What was once a safe and profitable passageway has turned into a veritable death trap. According to intelligence reports, Iran has more mine layers waiting in the wings, with the potential to plant hundreds of mines across the strait, should it choose to do so. The IRGC also boasts other explosive boats and shore-based missile batteries that it could use to beef up its offensive capabilities in the area. On top of this, Iran has already taken direct offensive action against several ships that have attempted to pass through the strait. Numerous vessels, including oil tankers, have been targeted, with dozens of crew members having to be evacuated and rescued as their vessels went up in flames. If the war continues, incidents like these will likely become more frequent and, unfortunately, far harder to prevent. Here's why. Even though the Strait of Hormuz can be up to 60 miles wide at certain spots, the vessels traveling through it have to follow a specific network of narrow shipping lines. This is because so much traffic passes through such a narrow stretch of water that it has to be managed with extreme care to avoid collisions and other dangerous incidents. As a result, at any given moment, multiple massive tankers might be moving through the strait, each carrying millions of barrels of oil while navigating tightly defined shipping corridors. If anything obstructs those corridors, the entire flow of traffic through the strait can slow down or become paralyzed. Iran knows the routes that these tankers have to take. It knows exactly where to plant its mines, aim its missiles, and position its own vessels to block them. On top of all of that, there's also the important matter of insurance. Shipping companies rely on insurance providers to cover their vessels as they travel around the world, especially in risky regions like the Strait of Hormuz. When geopolitical crises erupt and tensions boil over, insurance premiums skyrocket. Not only that, but some insurers decide that the risks are simply too great and they refuse to provide any kind of coverage. If companies can't get their tankers insured, they won't want to run the risk of sending them through the strait. So even if U.S. forces stepped in to clear the mines or escort ships through the strait, traffic would still almost certainly decline, and prices would still rise. For many shipping companies, the risk of sending enormously valuable tankers through such a volatile and dangerous corridor would simply be too great. And that's why the price of oil rose almost instantly once the war began, soaring past the $70, $80, and $90 marks, eventually hitting $110 in early March. Even if the conflict turned out to be short-lived, it still would have a notable impact on the flow of oil through the strait. Oil markets also tend to move very quickly during moments of tension, war, and other crises. Traders, like investment firms and hedge funds, are always thinking several steps ahead. Oil is heavily traded on futures markets, where contracts are made to buy or sell oil at a set price at a future date. Large companies, national governments, and major investors all take part. If there is any indication that prices are about to spike, they rush to buy contracts at higher prices in an attempt to get ahead of the game. This creates a kind of snowball effect, pushing the price of oil upward before a crisis or shortage has actually happened. And then once the crisis kicks off, the snowball gets bigger. As more contracts are snapped up at higher prices, the average cost of oil barrels skyrockets. More traders jump in, hoping to cash in, and then the price climbs even higher. Momentum takes over. Even if the situation on the ground stabilizes or never escalates as feared, oil prices can still spiral out of control. All because traders and investors are chasing profits. We've seen this exact in a highly challenging environment before the war even began. Global demand for oil is extremely high right now. Even though we're seeing more countries invest more heavily in green and renewable energy sources, the world still consumes more than 100 million barrels of oil on a daily basis. With such high demand, which is still rising year over year, there's very little margin for error in the oil industry. Even minor delays and disruptions can have genuinely dramatic effects on prices and supply. The war in Iran is much more than a minor delay or disrupt fleet collapse, or pass on some of the burden to their customers. That means you. When so many industries are experiencing a similar scenario, inflation across the entire economy begins to accelerate. The usual response to this is for central banks around the world.
So that's the point of the lesson, really. I'll get a couple more scriptures. And I got this thing I want to read from. I googled. Is Trump winning the Iran conflict? Google replied as early 2020 early April 2026, President Trump is claiming victory in the Iran conflict, arguing that the U.S. goals are nearing completion after weeks of airstrikes. Though the situation is widely described as a costly stalemate, while targeting Iranian military infrastructure, the administration faces a closed Strait of Hormuz, rising oil prices, and intense skepticism regarding the strategic success of the operation. Yeah, so even Google here knows that, Trump is claiming he's winning the war and he's gonna finish it soon. He keeps saying that, and his administration keeps repeating him. But as far as it looks, once again, these elites want this war to happen. It says like this right here. Here's a good answer here. The U.S. sought to cripple Iran's nuclear program and missile capabilities, but the regime has shown no clear sign of collapsing. While the White House has pushed for a narrative of success, foreign policy experts and opposition voices raise concerns that the war has not achieved its intended goals and has created a long-term strategic loss. The conflict is largely viewed by analysts as a costly stalemate or a strategic failure, with Iran continuing to resist despite sustaining damage. Exactly. That's what I mentioned earlier in the war. The fact that Iran isn't or has not stopped. They didn't want no peace talks since the war started. They still haven't gone to the negotiating table, as this stupid guy Trump keeps us online about. They had talks and we've had talks and we are coming to a deal. No, you're not coming to a deal, buddy. Trump, Iran doesn't want peace talks. You made a stupid decision, as your puppet leaders gave you to do. And Iran, as their puppet leaders are telling them to fuck you up. And that's what's happening. You're fulfilling their roles. They're under the elite's control. And Albert Pike said that the godfather of the Freemasons said this is how this war will be about. A Iranian Islamic war, revolution. What is it? And that's in 2nd Ezra 6:15. So they're just fulfilling their prophecy, and that's point of the lesson. Shalom. Blah blah blah. Actually, let me get this last scripture. I said I was gonna close, but I'm not gonna close yet. So their Google, they're just cut that whole thing. Isaiah 16:2. For it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon. 6. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud, even of his haughtiness, and his pride in his wrath, but his lies shall not be so. Therefore I will be verse 9. Therefore I will be well with the weeping of Jazer, the vine of Sidmar. I will water thee with my tears, O Heshbon and Elialah. For the shutting of thy summer fruits, and for thy harvest is fallen, and gladness is taken away, and joy out of the plentiful field, and in the vineyards there shall be no singing, neither shall there be shouting. The treaders shall tread out no wine in their presses. I have made their vintage shouting to cease. And this is what the Lord is going to do with America, though, too. And all these other nations, too. They're not exempt. This is going to hit everybody everywhere. Isaiah 14:30. The Lord will give food to the poorest of his people. The weak and the helpless people will live safely, but you Philistines people will die from famine. I will destroy you all so that nobody remains. Yeah. The Lord's going to feed certain people. That's his elect. Other people that they might be fortunate enough to still have some goods. Other people, their lot is going to be to starve it out. They're going to have to soldier it out. Isaiah 9, and as it says in 2 Kings 12, I think, or 22, there was a famine in Samaria. And this is Isaiah 9:20. And he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm. That's going into how bad the famine is going to be, that even this is going to happen. There's going to be men that cut their own arm off just to eat it. Or that can also go into just cannibalism. They might cut another dude's arm off, the family member's arm off, kill him. He's going to be dead and eat him. So this is what the Lord is going to bring. This famine, this destruction through this war. And as we saw there on those as I brought that information out there, as they were speaking on there, giving out tons of information on how this war can escalate to economic collapse, and we've already been seeing that. Even just off with that Russian and Ukraine war, we were seeing that. But this has now spread out through Iran. So this, and then if this intensifies, they've already speculated how much more people are going to be hit with famine, especially in those other countries out there. They've been starving over there. Certain countries over there, they're literally been starving because of war and violence and I don't even know for what else. Disease, I guess. Like countries like in South Africa, Eastern Africa, they have that over there. Due to war and natural disasters that happen, floods, droughts, and a bad economy. And these elites don't go out and all the money they have, they don't go out there and help them. So, hey man, let's look at the back of your dollar bill once again as well. A Nobis Order Seclorum, the RCNI on the back of that, with on a dollar bill. It's not on the $5 bill or $20 bill. You got a $1 bill. You look at the back of that once again, man, and that's also why they want to get rid of the paper money, to get rid of their the evidence. That's evidence right there. You can look at every day to remind you, man. Annuit coeptus. The powers of favor are undertaken, right? Nobles Order Seclorum, the new order of ages. Look at your celebrities and the satanic symbolism they have on your government ran organizations, CIA, your NASA. NASA, the symbol goes back to 666. The whatever the fuck you call that shit, I forgot. The satellite pyramid and connecting to the obelisk they have in Washington. Okay, all your founding fathers, most of them, were Freemasons. Okay. And hey, most of them were Freemasons, man. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know, man. If you want to trust a bunch of Edomites and not think what I'm saying is fact, go ahead and think that, man. Go ahead and think Russia won't get involved. They've been involved. Keep thinking stupid things like that. Stupid statements like that. I don't think Russia's gonna get involved. I see China getting involved, whatever the fuck, man. It's all gonna be fun and games until the Lord establishes his judgment. Officials his judgment, man. With that, let's get one last more scripture. Isaiah 8:21. And they shall pass through it, hardly be stead and hungry. And it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their power, and look upward, and they shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. This is how dark it's going to get in the time to come. Because this is prophecy, and we're speaking prophecy. Yahweh Bashem Shai is the true name. We are the Israelites, and we're speaking these words, and you can know where we're speaking is trustworthy and facts, faithful and true, as the Lord told Ezra. So what we're saying ain't no fairy tales are made up. I just want to emphasize that. That's why I keep repeating that before I close this video and this lesson. The elites are wicked. This country is wicked. You people are wicked. And it's the Lord's righteous, and he's going to judge this place. Yahweh Shai. his king. The Lord shall establish Jerusalem, and he's going to gather these nations to burn them up together, defeat them in the battle of Armageddon, to close this chapter. Now, I don't know when exactly the end is going to come, but I give it 2 years or 4 at the most, to be exact. Because the mark of the beast is has to come out before the third war pops off. And me personally, I believe China's going to have to invade that island before the third war pops off. And I don't see that happening this year. Maybe not next year, but the elites are definitely going to be working on destroying this economy more and more and more. Then once China invades that island soon, then that's when I believe the mark of the beast will definitely, most definitely will come out. Possibly during that economic collapse hits in America, like how heavy we're saying it's gonna hit here. So that's the point. Shalom, and I bought a book. 2028, that could be the year.